there is a feeling that almost nobody talks about out loud. But millions of people carry it quietly, every single day. It is that strange, hollow sense that your real life has not started yet, that you are somehow backstage, waiting for a cue that never comes. You go through the motions, you show up to work, you smile at the right moments, you do what is expected of you, but somewhere underneath all of that, there is a voice that keeps whispering. This is not it yet. The real thing is still coming. Maybe you have spent years waiting for the right job before you let yourself feel successful, waiting for the right relationship before you let yourself feel loved, waiting to lose the weight, finish the degree, move to the new city, reach the next milestone before you finally allow yourself to feel like your life has truly begun. If this resonates with you, I want you to know something important before we go any further. This is not laziness, this is not fear, and it is absolutely not a sign that something is broken inside you. What you are experiencing has a name. It has a psychology behind it, and understanding it may be the most important thing you do today. Stay with me until the end, because the final piece of this is the one that will shift something deep inside you. Think about the last time someone asked you how things were going. Chances are your answer sounded something like, "Things are getting there. I am working on it. Soon. Hopefully soon." There is always a next thing, a next chapter, a condition that must be met before you can exhale and say, "Yes, this is my life and I am living it fully." Psychologists call this arrival fallacy, a term first explored by positive psychology researcher Tal Ben-Shahar. It describes the illusion that once we reach a certain destination, we will finally feel the way we have always wanted to feel, complete, present, alive. But here is what makes this so quietly devastating. Every time you arrive somewhere you once dreamed of reaching, the feeling does not come. Instead of fullness, you feel a strange flatness, a mild disappointment you cannot quite explain, and almost immediately your mind moves the target forward again. Okay, not this, but maybe the next thing. You are not chasing happiness. You are chasing permission, permission to finally start. When you are alone, your mind does something that most people never notice about themselves. It builds parallel lives. You imagine a version of yourself in a different city, with a different career, in a different relationship, and that version of you feels free in a way that the current you does not. Neuroscience has a name for this: counterfactual thinking, the mental simulation of roads not taken. And here is the painful paradox. The more vividly you can imagine a better life, the harder it becomes to be present in the one you are actually living. Your imagination becomes both your greatest gift and your most convincing prison. You are not lost. Your mind is simply too powerful for a life that has not yet been given room to breathe. People around you often say things like, "You could do so much if you just applied yourself." And instead of motivating you, those words land like a quiet kind of accusation. Because you already know. You feel your own potential like a heavy coat you are always wearing, but never quite putting to use. Researchers call this the self-discrepancy theory, developed by psychologist E. Torrey Higgins. It describes the emotional tension that lives between your actual self, who you are right now, and your ideal self, who you believe you are supposed to become. When that gap feels too wide and too permanent, it does not produce motivation. It produces paralysis. You are not lazy. You are not wasting your potential on purpose. You are exhausted by the weight of carrying it, without knowing when or how you are finally allowed to use it. This one is harder to sit with, but it is important. For most people who live in the waiting room, there was a moment, or many moments, when the message was delivered clearly and early, not always through harsh words, sometimes through silence, through being overlooked, through watching someone else get chosen while you were told, maybe next time, not yet, almost, but not quite. Attachment researchers have a concept called the internal working model. It is the invisible blueprint your brain builds in childhood about how the world works and where you fit inside it. If your early environment taught you, directly or indirectly, that you needed to earn your place, that love came with conditions, that you had to be better before you were allowed to take up space, that blueprint does not disappear when you grow up. It follows you. It sits quietly inside every "I am not ready yet," every dream deferred to a safer season. You were not born waiting. You were taught to. Have you ever noticed that other people seem to be living inside their lives while you feel like you're watching yours from somewhere slightly outside of it? Psychologists call this depersonalization, a sense of being disconnected from your own experience, as though life is happening to someone else and you are observing from a quiet distance. For many people, it is just a low hum in the background, a gentle but persistent feeling that the real version of your life is still loading. When the mind is constantly oriented toward a future that has not arrived, it loses its grip on now, and a life spent waiting is by definition a life lived mostly in the future. The tragedy is not that your life has not begun. The tragedy is that it has been happening all along, and the waiting has made it very hard to feel it. There is a version of yourself you are preparing to become, more disciplined, more healed, more certain, more financially stable, more emotionally whole. And until you reach that version, the real living stays on pause. But here is what psychology has to say about that. Readiness is not a destination. It is a story the mind tells to protect you from the discomfort of beginning. This is what researcher Brené Brown describes as foreboding joy, the tendency to hold back from fully inhabiting happy, present moments, because some part of us is braced for disappointment. The standard of readiness you are waiting to meet was never meant to be met. It exists to keep you safe from trying, and from what comes after trying. And this is the one that will reframe everything. You have probably spent a long time frustrated with yourself for not just starting, for not just deciding, for not just living. But what if the waiting was never the enemy? Every person who lives in the waiting room is protecting something, a dream that has not yet been tested by reality, a self-image that has not yet been risked, a version of a life that, as long as it stays in the future, can remain perfect and untouched, because the moment you begin, truly begin, the life you imagined has to meet the life that actually is, and that collision is terrifying. Psychologists call this the protection of the possible. The future self is always safe. It has not failed yet. It has not been rejected yet. It has not tried and come up short yet. But here is the truth that changes things. The life you are waiting to begin. You are already inside it, this moment, this breath, this ordinary, imperfect, unfinished day. This is not the rehearsal. This is the performance. It has been the performance all along. The most radical thing you can do is not to wait until you are ready. It is to decide that who you are right now, in this unfinished, still becoming version of yourself, is already enough to begin. Not because everything is in place, but because it never will be. And the people who understand that most deeply are the ones who finally, quietly, step out of the wings and onto the stage of the life that was always theirs. You do not need a new year, a new city, or a new version of yourself to start. You never did. The waiting room was never a waiting room. It was always the room. If something in this video settled into a place inside you that has felt restless for a long time, leave a comment. Tell me, what is the one thing you have been waiting to feel ready for? Because naming it out loud is the first step toward choosing it. If someone in your life is quietly waiting to begin, send this to them. They need to hear it more than you know. I am Velmind. Subscribe so we can keep uncovering the hidden psychology behind the things you feel but have never been able to name. Take care of yourself today, and I will see you in the next one.